Imagine, if you will, a world wrapped in absolute, pristine darkness. We are standing on a high ridge in southeastern Anatolia, the land that will one day be known as Turkey, but now it has no name. It is 12,000 years ago, long before the pyramids rose from the sand, long before Stonehenge was dragged across the green plains. Here, the only light comes from above. Look up and see the canopy of the cosmos, a sprawling, glittering ocean of stars, so bright, so near, that you feel you could reach up and brush your fingers against the Milky Way. There is no light pollution, no city glow on the horizon, only the deep, endless navy of the night sky, watching over a sleeping earth. The air is crisp, cool against your skin, carrying the scent of wild almond trees and the dusty, dry fragrance of tall grasses swaying gently in a soft, rhythmic breeze. You are standing at the top of a rounded hill, known locally as Göbekli Tepe, the Potbelly Hill. It is a gentle rise in the landscape, creating a silhouette against the stars. And here, in the quiet of prehistory, something miraculous is happening. Listen closely, past the sighing of the wind, and you will hear a sound, a rhythmic, hypnotic sound. Clack, clack, clack. It is the sound of stone striking stone. We are witnessing the birth of the sacred. The people here are not kings, they are not emperors, they are wanderers, hunter-gatherers who have spent their lives following the migration of the gazelle and the ripening of the wild wheat. They live in a world of movement, of temporary shelters made of animal skins and branches. Yet here, on this high plateau, they have chosen to stop. They have chosen to build something permanent, something heavy, something that anchors them to the earth. Walk with me closer to the center of the hill. You can smell the smoke of a communal fire, the rich, savory scent of roasting meat drifting through the cool night air, mixing with the earthy aroma of limestone dust. The fire crackles softly, casting long, dancing shadows against the ground. In the flickering orange light, you see the pillars. They are massive, monolithic, T-shaped stones rising up like silent giants from the bedrock. They stand arranged in circles, towering over the people who carved them. Run your hand along the surface of the stone. It is cool, rough, textured by thousands of hours of careful chipping. These people possess no metal tools, no bronze, no iron. They have only flint and patience. Imagine the sensation of that work, the vibration traveling up your arm as you chip away at the limestone, day after day, under the hot sun and the cool moon. It is a meditation in stone. The pillars are not just blocks, they are canvases. As the torchlight flickers, the carvings on the sides of the pillars seem to move, to breathe. You see a lion, its muscles tensed, carved in high relief, emerging from the rock. You see a scorpion, a boar, a crane with long, elegant legs. These are not monsters to be feared. They are the spirits of the wild world, captured here in this stone circle, guardians of this sacred space. The light plays tricks on your eyes, making the stone animals appear to walk around the circular enclosure, a procession of nature, frozen in time. There is a feeling here, not of labor, but of unity. You can sense the warmth of the bodies gathered around, the murmur of low voices sharing stories, languages that have long since vanished into the wind. They have come from far away, converging on this hill not to live, but to worship, to connect. The floor beneath your feet is smooth, polished, made of terrazzo lime, cool and solid. It was crafted to hold water, or perhaps the blood of a sacrifice, or simply to provide a level ground for the ritual dance. Imagine the sound of bare feet moving rhythmically on this floor, the soft thud, 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 syncing with the beating of your own heart. This is the first time humanity has organized itself on such a scale. Before they planted crops, before they built houses, they built a temple. The urge to look up, to wonder, to create a space for the divine came before the urge to settle. It suggests that faith, or perhaps the need for gathering, was the spark that ignited civilization. The temperature drops slightly as the night deepens. The chill settles into the valley below. But here, within the ring of stones, protected by the T-shaped giants, it feels sheltered. The fire dies down to glowing embers, pulsing with a deep red heat like the eye of a resting beast. And then there is the greatest mystery of all. You watch as the people, after years, perhaps centuries of use, begin to do something strange. They do not destroy the temple. They do not let it fall into ruin. Instead, with great care and reverence, they begin to bury it. Feel the dry earth in your hands, the loose soil and rubble. They are filling in the circles, covering the lions, the boars, the tall limestone pillars. They are returning the sacred space to the womb of the earth. Basket by basket, the dust rises, covering the art, hiding the history, sealing it away in a time capsule of soil. Why? We do not know. Perhaps the era had passed. Perhaps the gods had changed. Or perhaps they wanted to protect it, to ensure that it would sleep safely through the millennia, waiting for us to find it. As the last stone is covered, the hill returns to its natural shape. The silence returns. The wind blows over the buried cathedral, whispering through the wild wheat that grows on the surface. The stars wheel overhead, the Great Bear turning slowly in the northern sky. The first chapter of history is complete, buried in the dark, warm earth, waiting, dreaming, echoing. We find ourselves now in a land of blinding sunlight and endless horizons. This is the alluvial plain, the flat, fertile stretch between two great winding rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates. The air here is heavy, thick with the scent of water, of wet earth, and the sweet, dry aroma of vast fields of barley baking in the Mesopotamian sun. It is the 4th millennium BC. We have arrived at the dawn of the urban age. Before us lies Uruk, the mother of cities. Unlike the quiet stone solitude of the hill temples, this place is alive with a new kind of energy. It is a hum, a low, constant vibration of humanity living together for the first time. Walk with me toward the city walls. They are massive, thick, and radiate a stored heat. Put your hand against them. They are not made of the cool, gray limestone we felt before. No, these are warm. They are rough, textured with straw and sand. They are made of mud brick, dried in this very sun, millions upon millions of bricks stacked by human hands to hold back the wildness of the desert. Inside the walls, the air is cooler, shaded by the narrowness of the winding streets. The ground beneath your sandals is packed dust, soft and yielding. You hear the sounds of a civilization waking up, the bleating of goats being herded through an alleyway, the rhythmic thump, thump, thump of a weaver's loom, the distant splash of an oar hitting the water of a canal. For this is a water world. The city is crisscrossed with canals, veins of green-brown water that bring the river right to the doorstep. In the water, narrow boats made of bundled reeds glide silently, sealed black with bitumen tar that smells sharp and pungent, earthy and ancient. They carry jars of grain, baskets of fish, and great rolls of wool. But the true magic of Sumer does not happen in the market, nor on the boats. It happens in the quiet, cool shade of the temple courtyard. Let us go there. Step out of the glare of the sun and into the dim, amber light of the scribe's chamber. It is quiet here. The air is still, filled with dancing motes of dust caught in the shafts of light beaming down from the high windows. There is a smell here that defines this era, the smell of damp river clay. In the center of the room, a figure sits cross-legged on a woven mat. He holds a mound of wet clay in his hand. It is cool to the touch, smooth, pliable. He flattens it, patting it into a square, a perfect, blank tablet. It is a cushion waiting for a thought. In his other hand, he holds a reed cut from the riverbank. The end has been sliced into a sharp, triangular wedge. He hovers his hand over the clay, and then, with a gentle, deliberate pressure, he presses down. Press, lift, press, lift. The clay yields. The reed leaves a mark, a wedge shape, cuneiform. This is not just art, this is memory. For the first time in the history of our species, a word does not die the moment it is spoken. It is caught. It is trapped in the earth itself. Watch the scribe's hand move. He is recording a delivery of grain, or perhaps a prayer to Inanna, the goddess of love and war. The sound is soft, a wet, squishing sound, barely audible, but it is the loudest sound in history. It is the sound of history beginning. He finishes the tablet. It is covered in intricate, abstract patterns of wedges. He sets it aside in the sun to dry. As the moisture evaporates, the clay hardens. It turns to stone. The thought becomes eternal. Let your gaze drift upwards now, above the scribe, above the roofs of the houses. In the center of the city rises a mountain made by man, the ziggurat. It climbs toward the heavens in terraced steps, a stairway for the gods to descend. The sun is beginning to set now. The fierce white light of the day softens into a hazy, golden purple. The shadows stretch long across the mud-brick walls. The temperature begins to drop, and a soothing breeze rolls in from the marshes, rustling the palm fronds overhead. Lanterns are lit, small clay vessels filled with sesame oil, the wicks burning with a steady yellow flame. The city of Uruk begins to glow against the deepening twilight. You can hear the low murmur of families gathering on the flat rooftops to catch the evening air, the sound of a harp being plucked somewhere in the distance, the notes floating like smoke over the canals. There is a sense of heaviness here, but it is a good heaviness, the heaviness of foundation, the heaviness of things that are built to last. The clay of the riverbed has been raised up to become walls, temples, and tablets. Humanity has learned to shape the earth into its own image. The river flows on, the Tigris moving steadily in the darkness, its surface reflecting the first stars. The water that watered the grain, that softened the clay, that carried the boats, continues its journey to the sea. And as the city sleeps, the clay tablets dry in the cool night air, holding their secrets, holding the whispers of merchants and kings and priests, waiting to be read, waiting to tell us who we are. The mud has spoken.
We are in Egypt, but not the Egypt of the bustling souks or the crumbling ruins we see today. We are here at the beginning, 5,000 years ago, when the stone was new and the sand was yet to bury the monuments of kings. Feel the heat. It is a dry, purifying heat. The sun here is not merely a celestial body, it is a weight, a presence, a god. It bathes the world in a light so bright, so absolute, that colors seem to vibrate. The sky is a piercing, deep azure, stretching tight over a landscape of gold and ochre. But then there is the cut, the wound of life, the Nile. Look down from our vantage point. It is a ribbon of deep, impossible green, winding its way through the desolation of the desert. It is the artery of the world. On either bank, the black land pulses with life. You can smell the rich, damp silt dragged all the way from the mountains of Africa to be deposited here, a gift of the annual flood. The air is thick with the scent of blue lotus flowers opening in the morning light, a sweet, heady perfume that hangs low over the water. For centuries, this world was divided. Two lands, dreaming separate dreams. To the south, the valley, the land of the white crown, rugged and disciplined. To the north, the delta, the land of the red crown, a marshy labyrinth where the river fans out to meet the sea. But today, the wind shifts. Imagine standing on the banks of the river at the point where these two lands meet. The reeds here are tall, towering over your head, rustling softly with a dry, whispering sound as the breeze moves through them. Shh, shh. A barge approaches. It is made of cedar wood, imported from distant forests, smelling of resin and timber. It glides silently against the current, propelled by tall, rectangular sails of linen, bleached white by the sun. The water laps gently against the wooden hull, a hypnotic, rhythmic slapping sound. On the prow of the boat stands a figure. He is Narmer, the catfish, the unifier. He is not wearing armor of iron, for this is the dawn of history. He wears a kilt of fine white linen, cool against his skin. On his head rests the weight of destiny. He wears the double crown, the pshent, the white bulbous crown of the south nested inside the red wire crown of the north. It is a heavy, awkward thing, but it signifies the impossible. The two lands have become one. He steps off the barge onto the muddy bank. His sandals sink slightly into the soft earth. He walks with a slow, deliberate grace. There is no cheering crowd here, only the solemn silence of a ritual. He is establishing the capital, Memphis, the white walls. Picture the construction of this first great city. It is not a city of stone yet, but a whitewashed mud brick. The walls gleam with a blinding brilliance in the midday sun, looking like a pearl dropped in the sand. Inside, the air smells of baking bread, of brewing beer, and the aromatic smoke of frankincense burning in small copper braziers. The atmosphere is one of Ma'at, cosmic order. In this new kingdom, chaos is kept at bay. Everything has its place. The sun rises, the river floods. The sun sets, the river recedes. It is a cycle of eternal, comforting repetition. Walk with me away from the river now, toward the edge of the desert. The temperature changes instantly. You leave the humid, heavy air of the valley and step into the dry, crisp air of the plateau. Here, the first tombs are rising. They are not pyramids yet, but mastabas, low, flat-roofed benches of mud brick and stone. They look like houses for the dead, and in a way, they are. Run your hand over the surface of one of these tombs. The stone is warm, absorbing the day's heat. It is rough, timeless. The silence out here is profound. It is a silence that presses against your ears, a silence so deep you can hear the blood rushing in your veins. As the sun begins to dip below the western horizon, the world transforms. The blinding gold turns to a soft, bruised purple, then to a deep, velvety indigo. The heat lifts, replaced by a sudden, sharp chill. The desert cools rapidly, exhaling the day's warmth back into the sky. The stars emerge, not one by one, but all at once. The Egyptians believed the sky was the body of the goddess Nut, arcing over the earth, and tonight she wears her gown of 1,000,000,000 stars. They are so clear, so sharp, they look like diamonds scattered on black velvet. In this twilight, the unification feels complete. The lotus of the south and the papyrus of the north are tied together in the knot of history. The pharaoh sleeps, the river flows, and the great machinery of Egyptian time begins to tick, a slow pendulum swing that will not stop for 3,000 years. Feel the stability of it, the permanence, the promise that tomorrow will be exactly like today. Rest in that certainty. The stone protects you. The river sustains you. The stars watch you.
We have arrived in the middle of the wine-dark sea. Below us lies the island of Crete, a jewel of green and gold set in a band of deepest sapphire. It is the Bronze Age, around 1700 BC. While the rest of the world builds fortresses and walls to keep enemies out, here, on this island, there are no walls. There is only the horizon and the rhythm of the waves. We are approaching Knossos. It does not look like a city of stone blocks, but like a painting brought to life. It is a sprawling complex of terraces, colonnades, and staircases that seem to tumble down the hillside like a waterfall of masonry. Land gently on the flagstones of the great central courtyard. The first thing you notice is the color. Egypt was the color of sand and gold. Mesopotamia was the color of mud and clay. But the Minoan world is a riot of color. The columns that hold up the roofs are painted a vivid, striking red, and they are strange, tapering downward, smaller at the bottom than the top, as if defying gravity. The air here is delicious. It is filled with the scent of wild thyme, crushing underfoot on the hillsides, mixing with the salty tang of the sea spray and the rich, fatty aroma of olive oil pressing in the storerooms. It is a scent of abundance. Walk with me into the palace. It is a labyrinth, not of fear, but of light. The architecture is designed to breathe. There are no dark corridors here. Instead, there are light wells, open shafts that cut through the multiple stories, allowing the brilliant Mediterranean sun to pour down into the deepest rooms, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the beams. The walls are covered in plaster, cool and smooth to the touch, and upon them the Minoans have painted their world. Look at the frescoes. There are no scenes of war here, no marching armies, no smiting kings. Instead, you see blue dolphins leaping through stylized waves. You see monkeys gathering saffron crocus flowers in rocky fields. You see women with intricate, snake-entwined hair, dressed in flounced skirts of many colors, chatting, laughing. It is a civilization of joy. You hear the sound of water everywhere, not the flooding river, but controlled, playful water. Beneath the floors, terracotta pipes, an engineering marvel, carry fresh water to fountains and baths. You hear the trickle of a spring, the splash of water in a basin, cooling the air, soothing the mind. Let us wander deeper into the storage magazines. It is cooler here, dark and earthy. Giant clay jars, pithoi, stand in rows taller than a man. They are thick, heavy, decorated with rope patterns. Run your hand over the rough clay. Inside, they hold the treasures of the island, golden olive oil, thick henny, and wine seasoned with pine resin. The smell is intoxicating, sweet, musty, and rich. Emerging back into the sunlight, we move to the central court. A hush falls over the crowd. It is time for the bull leaping. This is the seed of the Minotaur legend, but here, in reality, it is a dance. A massive bull, dark and powerful, thunders into the courtyard. The ground shakes, a reminder that this island sits on restless earth. But the athletes do not fight the beast. They wait. Watch the grace of the leaper. As the bull charges, the youth grabs the horns and in one fluid, acrobatic motion vaults over the animal's back, landing softly on the dusty ground behind it. There is no blood. There is only the celebration of vitality, of harmony between human agility and nature's power. The crowd sighs in appreciation, a sound like the wind moving through the cypress trees. As the afternoon wears on, the wind picks up. The Meltemi breeze blows from the north, cooling the stone terraces. The sun begins to set into the Aegean, turning the water into a sheet of hammered copper. The palace begins to glow with oil lamps. The red columns turn to deep crimson in the twilight. From a balcony, you look out over the valley. You can see the smoke rising from the farmhouses. You can hear the faint rhythmic sound of sistrums, rattles, being played in a sanctuary. There is a sense of mystery here, a feeling that this civilization is a dream that will one day wake up. They live on the edge of a volcano, on the edge of the sea, balancing their palaces on the fault lines of history. But for now, In this moment, there is only peace. The sound of the ocean is eternal here. Crash, hiss, retreat. Crash, hiss, retreat. It is the heartbeat of the Minoans. It lulls the island to sleep, wrapping the labyrinth in a blanket of salt air and starlight. The bull sleeps. The dolphins sleep. The island floats in the dark sea, a cradle of beauty, waiting to pass the torch to the mainland. We have arrived in Latium, central Italy, in the middle of the 8th century BC. Forget the white marble columns you know. Forget the Colosseum. Those are dreams that have not yet been dreamt. Here, there is only the forest, the river, and the rain. The air here is cool, damp, and hangs heavy with the scent of wet pine needles and rotting leaves. It is a primal landscape. Below us, the Tiber River churns, swollen and brown, twisting like a great snake through a marshy valley. It is a wild river, untamed, constantly flooding the lowlands, leaving behind pools of stagnant water and thick, black mud. Rising out of this swamp are 7 hills. They are steep, covered in tangled woods of oak and holm trees. We drift toward the central one, the Palatine. It is here that the legend begins, not with a king, but with a cave. Descend with me down the rocky slope to the base of the hill near the river's edge. There is a fissure in the rock here, hidden by hanging ivy and moss. It is dark inside, but warm. This is the Lupericle. Step inside. The air is thick, musky, smelling of animal fur and warm milk. Outside, a storm is brewing, thunder rolling low and long across the valley floor. But inside, it is safe. In the shadows, eyes reflect the faint light. A she-wolf, the Lupa, lies on her side. Imagine the sound of her breathing, heavy, rhythmic, a deep rumble in her chest. Nestled against her flank, seeking the warmth of her fur, are 2 infants, Romulus and Remus, abandoned by men, adopted by the wild earth. The scene is soft, tactile, the rough tongue of the wolf, the soft skin of the children, the damp stone of the cave floor. It represents the very soul of Rome, a city born of violence, but nurtured by the wild earth itself. A city that would grow to have the appetite of a wolf. Time flows forward, like the river water rushing past the reeds. The infants become men. The cave is left behind for the hut. We are on top of the Palatine Hill now. It is a rough, rustic settlement. The houses are simple ovals, wattle and daub, sticks woven together and plastered with mud, topped with thatched roofs that drip in the constant drizzle. Feel the texture of this life. It is coarse. The men here wear cloaks of rough-spun wool, greasy with lanolin to repel the rain. They smell of wood smoke, of sheep, of sweat. They are shepherds, bandits, outcasts. They are the seeds of an empire, but for now they are just men trying to stay warm. There is a tension in the air today. The brothers are standing on separate hills, looking up. The sky is a washed-out gray, clouds scudding fast on the wind. They are waiting for the birds, the augury. Silence stretches across the valley. It is a heavy silence, filled with the rustle of wind in the oak leaves. And then they appear, vultures, circling slowly, dark specks against the gray clouds. 6 for Remus, but 12 for Romulus. The decision is made by the sky. Now
Watch the ritual of foundation. This is the moment Rome becomes real. Romulus yokes a bull and a cow to a plow made of bronze. The metal is dull, not shiny, battered by use. He drives them forward, marking out the perimeter of the city. Listen to the sound of the earth tearing. Rep! The bronze blade slices through the wet turf, turning over the dark, loamy soil. The smell is overpowering, fresh, mineral, the scent of the underworld being exposed to the air. This furrow is the pomerium, the sacred boundary. Inside is order. Outside is chaos. Romulus lifts the plow carefully where the gates will be, leaving the earth unbroken so that people may pass. But a boundary invites a crossing. The tragedy of the twins plays out in the mud. A leap, a shout, a blow, and then silence again. Remus falls. The first blood of the city waters the first wall. It is a somber note, a heavy chord in the song of history, reminding us that great things often come at a terrible price. Night falls over the new city. The rain finally stops. The clouds break apart, revealing a ragged, gibbous moon. The air turns cold, a sharp chill that bites at the skin. In the center of the settlement, a fire is lit. This is not a cooking fire. This is the hearth, the vestal flame. Draw close to it. Feel the heat radiating against your face, pushing back the dampness of the night. The wood crackles and pops, sending sparks drifting up toward the stars. This fire must never go out. It is the life of the city. As long as this flame burns, Rome will stand. Around the fire, the rough men gather. They warm their hands, their faces illuminated by the orange glow. They do not know that their descendants will rule the world. They do not know that this muddy hill will one day be covered in marble palaces. They only know that tonight they are safe. They have walls, they have a fire, they have a name. Roma. The word is whispered into the wind. The she-wolf howls in the distance, a lonely, haunting sound that echoes off the 7 hills. The river rushes on, carrying the story toward the sea. The foundation is laid in blood and mud. The wolf has found its den.
We have arrived in the Warring States period, in the 3rd century BC. But the war is ending. The chaos of 7 kingdoms fighting for supremacy is being crushed into silence by a single iron will. We find ourselves in the state of Qin. The air here is different. It is cold, damp, and carries the scent of pine and crushed minerals. The landscape looks like an ink-wash painting come to life. Jagged mountains shrouded in fog, ancient trees clinging to cliff sides, and waterfalls cascading down into invisible pools below. Shh, shh. The water whispers constantly. Walk with me toward the capital, Shenyang. The atmosphere is one of absolute, terrifying precision. Listen to the sound of the forge. Clang, hiss, clang, hiss. We are in the armory of the King of Qin. The heat here is intense, a dry, metallic heat that tastes of copper and ash. Rows of smiths stand in rhythmic unison. They are pouring molten bronze into molds. They are not making unique weapons. They are making identical ones. This is the birth of mass production. Pick up a crossbow bolt from the cooling rack. It is heavy, cold, and perfectly smooth. The 3 edges are sharp enough to cut the air. Run your thumb over the side and you feel a texture, a stamp, the name of the maker, the supervisor, the chancellor. Every piece of metal is accounted for. There is a deep, hypnotic satisfaction in this order. The chaos of the world is being organized, cataloged, and controlled. We move from the fire of the forge to the cool, quiet sanctuary of the scriptorium. The air here smells of vinegar, soot, and fresh bamboo. The floor is polished wood, smooth beneath your feet. Scores of scribes sit in rows, their robes rustling softly like dry leaves. Watch the hands of the head scribe. He is dipping a brush made of wolf hair into a stone inkstone. He grinds the inkstick, grind, 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 a low, soothing friction. The ink is black, deeper than the night sky, made of pine soot and glue. He holds a long, narrow strip of bamboo. Before this moment, every kingdom wrote the word for horse differently. Every kingdom had different weights, different coins, different laws. The world was a Tower of Babel. But now the brush touches the bamboo. Swish, tap, swish. He writes the new character, the standard character. The emperor has decreed it. Under heaven there shall be one language, one script, one mind. Imagine the sound of thousands of brushes moving at once across the empire, rewriting the world. It is a sound like rain falling on a roof, a washing away of the old confusion. The bamboo strips are tied together with thread, rolled into scrolls, and stacked. A library of order is growing, wall by wall, scroll by scroll. The scene shifts. We leave the city and travel out into the open fields. The mist is thicker here, hugging the ground. The earth is red, clay-rich, and heavy. We are standing at the foot of a great earthen pyramid, the tomb of the first emperor, Qin China. He is still alive, but he is building his eternity. Descending into the pits nearby, the air becomes cool, still, and smells intensely of wet earth and kiln smoke. You are surrounded by an army, but it is a silent one. The terracotta warriors. Thousands of them, life-sized, standing in formation in the trenches. They are not yet buried. The torches flicker against their faces. Look closely at them. No two are alike. This one has a mustache that curls up. That one has a beard. Another has a broad, solemn face. Another looks young and eager. Reach out in your mind and touch the armor of a kneeling archer. It is hard, fired clay, cool and rough. You can feel the studs of his armor, the folds of his scarf, the tread on the bottom of his shoe. The level of detail is mesmerizing. It creates a feeling of suspended animation. It is as if a spell was cast, turning flesh to stone. The artisans are working quietly in the background. You hear the wet slap of clay being thrown onto a table, the scrape of a wooden tool shaping a nose, an ear. They are sculpting a guardian force to watch over the emperor in the afterlife. There is a profound stillness here, a silence that is heavy with expectation. The army is waiting. They do not breathe, they do not blink, they only wait. Above ground, the great wall is rising. Stone by stone, packed earth by packed earth, linking the older walls into a single serpentine barrier. It stretches like a dragon's spine across the ridges of the mountains, separating the civilized world from the wild steppes. Stand on the wall for a moment. The wind howls here, blowing from the north, cold and biting. But behind the wall, in the valleys of Qin, there is safety. The chaotic, warring states have been forged into a single empire. The Middle Kingdom has begun. The emperor sits in his palace, obsessed with immortality, drinking mercury and praying to the mountains. He does not know that his dynasty will fall quickly, but the idea of China, the shape of it, the script of it, will last forever. The mist rolls in again, thick and white, covering the clay army, covering the bamboo scrolls, covering the great wall. The dragon has curled up to sleep. The ink has dried. The world is unified.
It is the 15th century. We are in Florence, Firenze, the city of flowers. It is early morning. The sun is just peeking over the Tuscan hills, casting long, soft shadows across the valley. The light here is different. It is not the harsh, blinding sun of the desert, nor the gray mist of the north. It is a warm, honey-colored light that seems to turn everything it touches into art. Walk with me through the narrow, cobbled streets. The air is cool and crisp, carrying the scent of cypress trees and the faint mineral tang of the Arno River flowing sluggishly under the Ponte Vecchio. The city is waking up. Listen. Clang, clang, clang. The church bells are ringing. Not one, but dozens. They answer each other from tower to tower, a chaotic, joyful conversation of bronze echoing against the stone palazzos. We are witnessing a miracle. After 1,000 years of what some call the Dark Ages, the human spirit is stretching, yawning, and waking up. This is the Rinascimento, the rebirth. Turn a corner and step out into the Piazza del Duomo. Stop. Look up. Above you rises a mountain made by human hands, the dome of Santa Maria del Fiore. It is a staggering sight, a vast red-tiled hemisphere that dominates the sky. It was built by Filippo Brunelleschi, a man who figured out how to make stone float. Imagine the atmosphere of the construction site that was here just moments ago in history. The smell of limestone dust, the creaking of massive wooden cranes hoisting blocks of marble into the sky, the shouting of masons. But now it is finished. It stands silent and majestic. Walk towards the cathedral. Run your hand along the exterior walls. They are not plain brown brick. They are a geometric dream of green, pink, and white marble. The stone is cool, smooth, polished to a sheen. It feels like a jewel box. The patterns are rational, orderly, symmetrical. The chaos of the medieval world has been replaced by the harmony of mathematics. But the heart of the Renaissance is not just in the buildings. It is in the bottega, the workshop. Let us slip inside a heavy wooden door on a side street. The noise of the city fades instantly. You are in a painter's studio. The air here is thick and pungent, a complex perfume of creativity. Breathe it in. The sharp, clean scent of turpentine, the nutty, rich aroma of linseed oil, the earthy smell of rabbit skin glue bubbling in a pot over a small fire. Shafts of dusty light cut through the room from high windows. In the corners, apprentices are grinding pigments. Listen to the sound. Grind, grind, grind. Pestle against mortar. They are taking the earth, lapis lazuli from the east, burnt sienna from the Tuscan soil, malachite green, and turning it into powder. In the center of the room stands the master. He is standing before a large wooden panel covered in white gesso. He holds a brush, delicate, tipped with the finest squirrel hair. Watch him work. He is not painting a stiff, frightened icon. He is painting a human being. He is painting skin that looks soft, warm, alive. He uses the technique of chiaroscuro, light and dark. He adds a touch of white lead to the nose, and suddenly the face pops out of the darkness. It has volume, it has weight. He is painting a scene from mythology, perhaps the birth of Venus. The gods are no longer demons to be feared. They are symbols of beauty. The human body is no longer shameful. It is a mirror of the divine. There is a sense of boundless curiosity in this room. On a table nearby, there are sketches of birds in flight, anatomical drawings of muscles and bones, geometrical diagrams of triangles and circles. Art and science are holding hands here. They are the same thing. Leave the studio now and wander toward the Medici Palace.